My opponent mentioned that animal testing is often. My opponent mentioned that animal testing is often unreliable, and that the vast majority of treatments that work in animals don't work in humans, which is true, but that's why we have the human testing stage. Like, we don't just test on animals and then go straight to market. And they also mentioned that there are alternatives to animal testing, but not for all applications. For example, drug testing requires a circulatory system. Kara Rogers, writing for Encyclopedia Britannica, says that drug testing is dependent on a circulating system. So, in other words, when a drug enters the bloodstream, it's carried to specific organs where it undergoes chemical transformations. And you can't test that in a petri dish. And this was also repeated by the previously cited Elizabeth Fisher, who said, and she was not talking about drug testing, but rather understanding conditions like Alzheimer's. Like, you will not be able to understand this condition in a petri dish, is what she said. And also, the FDA agrees that we're not yet at a point where we can just do away with animal testing. They say that there are still many areas where animal testing is necessary and non-animal testing is not yet a scientifically valid and available options. So, drug testing is one of those. There's also biocompatibility testing for medical devices made of new materials. And my second claim is that if we did ban animal testing, researchers are simply going to set up shop in other countries to completely get around the problem. So basically they might go to the, Nature Genetics, in one of their journals, said that researchers are already mobile in their careers, and some will readily relocate to more supportive environments. So basically, if we get rid of it, they might go to like China or anywhere else really. And also, animal testing is already regulated. Elizabeth Fisher of the UCL Institute of Neurology, again, says that in the United Kingdom, which is her home country, implemented strict regulations to provide some of the highest animal welfare standards in the world. So we already, have regulations in place. And the United States has the Animal Welfare Act, which was passed by Lyndon B. Johnson in 1966. And my third claim is that banning animal testing would lead to fewer scientific breakthroughs. So in the Associated Press, the Associated Press said that their best hope for hepatitis C vaccine is chimpanzees, because there's no other animal model for it. And as we already said, testing, things like drugs and vaccines requires a circulatory system. So, you can't use a petri dish or computer modeling or whatever. And Professor Elizabeth Fisher, again, I have a lot of citations from her, said that breakthroughs that we now take for granted would not have been possible without animal testing. So, for example, some of the breakthroughs of the 20th century that wouldn't have happened without animal testing include diphtheria and polio vaccines, antibiotics, modern anesthetics, the treatments for childhood leukemia. These all got developed thanks to animal research. All right, thank you.